Hello, everyone. Welcome back for another Coach Talk. Hopefully, you all have been enjoying this series as much as I have. This is an extended series that I created to host specifically to bring coaches on to have conversations around coaching and how we navigate our niches. So, I will pull this up and invite. Yeah, I've been on calls all morning today, but super excited to be jumping onto another call with a coach. Kind of been filling my days with that. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Been jumping on coach calls all morning, so I'm like my cup is full and ready to spill out into everybody.
Wow, wonderful, wonderful. So excited for this. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I think your mic might be like hidden under something.
Yeah, yeah, just a minute.
There we
Is
go.
this okay? Yeah.
I'm good, but I will let you introduce yourself so people know who you are and you can like talk about where you're at and all of that fun stuff.
Yes, yes, highway. So I'm from India and I have been a life coach since past 3 years. Before that, I was a healer and I have been into a corporate world with my family business. I've been a mother of two, have led a very spiritual life from my childhood. I was born in a very spiritual family, so I've been grown up meditating and being around the spiritual studies and all. And that's about it.
I love that. And so now you want to kind of take that and share it with the world through your coaching.
Yeah, I would love to. I would love to. Yes,
I love
that's how I.
that. So when it comes to having that be a part of your life for most of your life, like what do you see around you in the world where a lot of people who don't have those practices and aren't connected to those methods? And how do you see kind of working with them to kind of get them to see the importance of connecting through meditation and all of those healing journeys that you've been on?
I personally feel that with so much happening in this world these days, and it's been from my childhood for that matter, I really wonder how do people manage without a spiritual connection. So whenever I see people around me and I see that there's a disconnect, I always wonder how do their life manage, because for me, if there is an issue, the only solution I have to myself is go back, go inward, talk to myself, listen to my inner voice, connect. That was how I was born and brought up. So it's a little different for me to think in a direction which I have never been into. So I personally feel meditation, whether it's spirituality in whatever form, not even if being a meditation, if you are internally connected to your inner soul, your inner source, it's kind of giving you some answers in life to move forward in a right direction. It's like moving towards the light whenever there is darkness, moving towards the hope whenever there is, you know, when you just give up. There is always that inner voice which tells you, okay, you can do it. So, spirituality for me is bringing positivity with every negative aspect of your life. So every time, like as if there is a darkness, you try to look for light. Where is that light within? If there is a fear, where is that faith and hope? So it's that's the whole thing. Not that the life will not give you lessons around, but every time there's a lesson, you go inward, you talk to yourself, and you just try to connect and try to find a positive feeling, a positive notion, emotion around it, and then come back. So that's like a practice.
Yeah, I love that because I feel like in today's world, we are taught that the solution is outward. Like corporations want us to believe that the solution is in a product that they can sell to us. And the idea of a lot of us are on the journey of learning to connect inwardly and to be able to connect with someone like you who you've done it your whole life. So that is something where that comes so naturally to you. Whereas a lot of people like myself, when it comes to shifting to searching for the answers inwardly, finding that light inside of you instead of thinking it's somewhere outside of us, that's a hard shift for a lot of people to do. So I think getting the opportunity to connect with someone like you who kind of have lived that experience and being able to share your journey and how it served you, I feel like is a really special connection because I know that for me, there have been so many times where I'm like, it's inside, it's here, I've got everything I need. The universe gave me exactly what I need, but then I see some ad or I have a conversation with someone and they're like, well, this new product actually, and I'm like, ooh, tell me about this new product. Like it just sucks me back into that mindset of thinking that what I'm going through is somehow going to be solved by an outward source. So, how, when you work with people and kind of help them like make that shift in their life, how do you kind of take people through those steps to kind of overcome that, well, like overwhelming drive to seek for things outwardly?
Thank you. Actually, I was just when you were talking about it, I just realized it's not that I don't feel the need of the outside sources. There are so many times when you do feel that okay, I need some outside help, but at the same time, these are tools. But eventually, the light will come from within. So these tools will help us to get to the destination in an easier way, as if there's a car and then you reach to a destination in a more faster and a easier way. So outside modes, I'm definitely they are also very effective. I'm also a great fan of learning and being like that's how we all have been together in Jay Shetty. We've been a great fan of learning and learning the new techniques. So these are different tools, but until and unless that inner light, the inner connection is not there, these tools will not have that energy to sustain in our life. So to
Mhm.
connect with those inner light, the inner strength of your soul, and the help of the tool, we are able to move forward. So for me, when if there's a client, the first thing what comes to my mind is like, okay, let's have a talk around what is it that you want in life. First of all, the clarity of where do we want to go, how do you see your life, where ahead are you wanting to go, and how could you go inside and see what are the blockages you have. So if it's like again, like I said, if there's any area which is dark, how could we add light to it? What would be the different sources of light, whether those could be the tools from outside, but also what is the light from within? Because eventually, how many ever tools we take around from outside, it's the inner light, the inner strength which is going to be sustained forever. So that's how we try to move forward in the journey together as a client and a coach.
I
And then
love that.
work around those, okay, these are the blockages, this is where we could go. And then how could we be accountable? How could we sustain the results? So that eventually the client and even the person who's getting the coaching done is having a sustainable result and is independent eventually with their own inner soul connection. So that's usually the purpose.
I love that. And one of the things that it reminded me of is like the journey of love. Um, when it comes to outward things trying to let you know that they love you, if you haven't done the inner connective work and learned to love yourself, when other people say it to you, it doesn't connect because you haven't connected to that in yourself yet. And I got to live that experience where I would hear it from other people, and it actually made me feel worse because I couldn't feel it. And it was just like all these people were saying, I love you. And I was just like, why can't I love myself? Why can everyone else do it, but why can't I do it? And then when I finally did the inner work and sat with myself and learned to love myself, when others said it around me, I was able to fully accept it. And like, it's a completely different feeling than when people were saying it and I couldn't even accept it and love myself. And I was just like, whoa, the inner work helped there because I was blocking that from coming into me. I couldn't accept love or compliments or anything people were trying to give me because I didn't feel worthy of that. So it was like a journey that I had to do inwardly to be able to connect with myself and see that before any of the out things could actually connect with me in that way.
So that's so beautiful. And I think it's your inner light which guided you. This is the work which I need to do. So it's your inner self, your awareness, which gives you these hints. It's the little voice in our head which tells us, okay, this is the area which I need to work. And we just need to get a little more closer to that inner voice and listen to what the soul is trying to say. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Such a beautiful work you've been doing on yourself.
Yeah. It's a journey, and it's funny because once you get to that point, you want everyone else to feel it, because once you feel it and know how amazing it is, like the weight is lifted off of your shoulders and you can live life in a fuller way. It's like I just want other people to know what that feels like. So it's almost like you're trying so hard, but you know that what you're doing is not hitting them right if they're not at the point in their journey to learn that lesson. And it's a journey for me because I've wanted to help a lot of people who are super close to me because I care about them. They're people I know. I've seen their journeys and I know they're deserving of feeling what I'm feeling, but I found that by sharing my story with people, that people I've never ever like spoken to show up and want to start that journey with me as a coach because they're at that stage and are ready. The people around me just aren't ready yet. So I have to keep creating that space for them, but making sure that where they're at on their journey doesn't bring me backwards or pull me into a place where I don't live in this space of connectiveness, because it's really easy to get pulled out of it, especially at the beginning when you're first like jumping into it. Because I mean, even when I leveled up, because I'll get to a point in life and I level up here and then I learn, but then when I level up again, those fears of unknown and things I don't know how to do start coming up. And it's really easy for me to disconnect and forget and start seeking for validation outwardly.
Yeah, that's so amazing. And this is exactly what we're talking. I think the the home where we always go back is like a place and you do your needful and then you again come out. So once you get connected to that home, your inner soul, your inner voice, and you get used to getting connected to that, I feel there's no looking back. It's like having your best buddy by your side all the time, and you're just kind of correcting you, taking care of you, and going back. And exactly what you said is so true that once you get that feeling, you want to share it with the world, and you want to tell everyone, hey guys, don't. Everything is there. Everything is out, very beautiful. But there's something very beautiful inside all of us. That light, that source, that power, that love. All we need to do is connect in that. And you were so true that until we don't feel that self love for ourselves, how much ever love we get from others, it'll just be on the surface.
Yeah. And it's important to like live in your truth as like often as possible, because when it comes to, I even knew when like I shared only parts of myself and someone gave me a compliment or was saying, "Wow, I really love the work that you're doing." Like if there was parts of me that were not being shown, that were hidden from people, I couldn't fully accept what they were giving to me as a gift, because I was sitting there thinking, well, if you knew all of this, if you knew this, if you knew the struggles, if you know what I'm struggling with now, if you know what I struggled with this morning, you wouldn't say what you're saying. But that's where you have to realize, like, people are saying that as the full package of who you are. Even if you're not presenting it, people are still I know that I can see more of what people think they're hiding. They think that there's certain things that I can't see. And I'm just like, the activity and thing that made you feel the way you're feeling right now, I may not understand and know what it is exactly, but I'm still looking at you fully and saying these things about you as a person because every single person is this way. It's not you are this way and this person's that way. Like, we're all worthy and we're all capable of it. It's just the activities and journeys and experiences that we've been on have led us further and further away from realizing that connectedness to ourselves in the light that we all have.
That's so true and that's so beautiful because actually, once we realize that we are a being of divine light, divine love, divine power, and the way if we understand the divinity within us, ourselves, we are able to see that divinity in others also. Because until you don't know, you're not aware something like this is existing, how would you even feel that for others? So once you have that little glimpse of, okay, that little divine light, divine love, and divine power is within me, you start seeing others also because that's how we all are. We all are together. Soul is it's a complete ecosystem together, and we are all just a source of God. And you start seeing everything in the same eyes. Then that's amazing. That's so beautifully expressed by you also.
Yeah, it's funny because we're all from so many different places in the world, and we so often when we're in spaces seek people who are similar to us. So we look to like the physical world to find similarities with people to connect because we're fearful of being around unknown things and people. So our fear actually attracts us to, oh, there's a group of females, there's a group of males. It's interesting when you put people in rooms where like no one knows one another and you can observe and watch how naturally physical things connect us to people in the group. We find people who may have the same like skin color or same gender or maybe when it comes to like height, there are certain things that we will just gravitate towards. But one thing that I told people about like my friend circle, and this is something that I've accumulated over my lifetime, was looking at my group of friends, you would never see like, oh, that group of people is this, because there's no physicality to what brought us together. It's like the energy that we share with one another and the connectedness of self. Like, there are people, when you connect with other people who are connected to self, your energies just dance with one another and like inspire each other to grow even bigger to help more people. Whereas in all those instances where fear was what created the connection, like that doesn't make you grow. A lot of times that shrinks you and makes you smaller because in that room of diverse people, what the best way to connect with people is connecting with someone who is the most different from you with all the external factors, because they can probably give you perspectives of the world that you don't know, but also show you how similar you can actually be to one another when you connect on that higher level.
So true, and such a beautiful world exists without non judgments, where we are just accepting people as they are and we allow people to be what they are and let the differences be rather than just wanting to make the changes. Okay, it's not necessity that I think in a certain way, the other person also. So when we meet different people from different perspective and let them be the way they are and accept their perceptions about the same story in a different way, I just feel it's such a beautiful space to be in. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
And I feel like the beautiful thing about coaching is we get to meet everyone where they are. Like, it's not our job to be like, you have to be this way to stand in front of me and work with me as a coach. The journey is about coming to them where they are and getting to know them as the person that they are and helping them to get to know their own self worth in that journey. Because so often we look at people around us thinking we have to be more like them, when in all actuality, what we need to be doing is finding more ways to show up as our true self in every space that we come into.
Yeah, that's really a very amazing space for a coach to be in, of just letting the person know that they are very resourceful and they themselves are just resourceful enough just to remind them you can all have it all within you, and we are just there by your side to be with you. That's really, and that's how I think this is how we all got attracted to being like coaches, because we come from a bit non-judgmental space and a more open-minded, and letting things be and seeing things as they are rather than putting our perception about certain things in a certain manner and certain people in a certain manner. So as a coaches, when we sit, we wear a coach hat. The first thing is like we just let the person know you're as resourceful as you could be. We are just here to remind you of that. Yes.
Yeah. And I know that in the beginning you talked about being a healer. Tell us a little bit more about that journey and how you kind of bring coaching into that as well.
So that's one of my most beautiful journey of my life. I have come into pranic healing in 2009. So my guru, Grandmaster Chokok Sui, the kind of teachings I have learned from pranic healing has transformed my life to such a high degree. I have been, like I mentioned, I have been a very spiritual person since childhood. I used to meditate. I used to do a lot of spiritual rituals in a very virtueful family. But when I came into pranic healing, I really got my answers about what is what spirituality actually is and what does it mean. It's like getting my logic, getting my clarification about how does all spirituality is all about the energy world, which I never knew that there's a subtle body, we have chakras, we have a there is a system beyond our physical being which we can see, which also coexist with us. So I learned all that science of, okay, we have aura, inner aura, then we have our chakras, and whatever disease or whatever emotions are physicalized first come in our inner auras and in our auras, in our chakras, and then they penetrate into the physical body. So there is a way, there is a system, there is a technique that we could work around that energy body in the subtle world, in the inner world, before it could physicalize by healing through the energy healing. And that has been such a life transformation journey for me and a great learning. And I can't even imagine my any day without having a healing done in my life. So like I always wonder when people fall sick. I said, I wish they also knew pranic healing. I wish they also knew pranic healing. So pranic healing has been like such a strong inner and outer tool in my life, which is like the biggest support system around me all the time. So it helps me to see things in the way, in a perspective which I was never aware of before coming into pranic healing. That everything is energy. Like Albert Einstein says, everything is energy around us. We understand energy, we understand life. So the whole science around energy healing and understanding the system is what pranic healing is about. And coaching and healing together has been a very beautiful tool for me. Like when I have been into pranic healing, I have also been into some roles which were like leadership roles. And I realized that I had qualities where I could guide and help people with their visions and making plans and making goals, and help them to look at the bigger picture as a leader and connect the dots. And people used to come to me, talk to me. I also teach pranic healing. So people would come to me, talk to me, share their problems, and we would just talk. And this has been a part even in my family, even with my friends. They would just come and share things, and I would just listen to them. And when I got to know about coaching like almost 3 4 years back. I was just filling a questionnaire one day, like, are you fit to be a coach? And all my answers were like yes, 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 yes. So I realized that I have those qualities. So why don't I use this quality to help people around me and enhance my skill of coaching and use the healing tools which have been like my lifeline and put them both together and support the system. So that's how I am here today.
I love that. And I also dove into like the scientific things when it comes to like belief and the chakras and everything because I I'm not the type of person who can just hear someone say, "Oh, there's chakras and there's energy." I wanted to understand it on a deeper level. And when I started doing the research, the first book I read was like The Biology of Belief, and it showed just like what stress looked like, what people's bodies started doing when people around you like were in stress mode. Like other people's energies have the ability to impact yours as well. And the more I dove into it, I was like, it makes absolute sense. Like there's no denying that energy and thought and belief and other people's energies and beliefs around you affect your body because like you said it's all energy, and if it's all energy then of course that can come into the physical world as good or bad. When it comes to our health, like that's a lot of times when you see people who are older and they lose their life partner, that you see that energy, usually they're not around for much longer afterwards anyway because they were so tied to each other's energies, and the loneliness that comes up, that energy starts to impact their physical body as well. So I think that when we go through traumatic events and things that impact us, the most important work that we can do is healing first and healing in a full way, um, because it will have like long term effects on our physical body as well. It may exist in the energy around us. Maybe it's experiencing death or experiencing the traumas that are going on globally right now. Those things impact us. I know that for me, I had to cut out a lot of news just because I took it all in so much and I could feel it like in my shoulders, like in like this part of my body. Like after an hour of news, I felt it completely in my body. And I was just like, wow, this is having an impact. I need to be more uh, aware of what I'm allowing my body to feel right now. Because if I'm going to be a person that comes out into the world to help people, I have to also protect my energy on that journey.
That's so true. And I think your awareness is working wonders with you. You're being so aware of your little changes and you're taking action towards it. That's really nice. And that's exactly, inner healing is a very, very important aspect for us to move forward. There are so many times in our lives that we want to move forward, but we are just not able to. There's so many, all the circumstances are in place, everything is in place, we want to move forward, but something in us is not letting us move forward. And I think healing really, really plays a very important role over there. And of course, if we could add coaching techniques with it, talking out, speaking it out, clearing it out. So I find these tools together work very good wonders for people.
Yeah. And I've worked with healers before, and it's very interesting how all it takes is like a simple question of like where do you feel the pain physically, and then they can start asking questions specifically around the things that would cause stress or pain in those areas of your body. And it's just like, have you lost someone? And I'm like, what? How would you guess that? And it's like, well, when you feel pain there, that's the pain of like losing someone. And I'm like, oh wow, like the parts of my body are so telling to someone who understands the healing of that. And I absolutely just dove into it to want to learn more. And I would say I'm still very much at the beginning of my journey there and continue to enjoy having conversations like this one to learn more about it.
It's an amazing science. And probably we might be carrying with us the knowledge within our soul. It's just that we need some outer source to just remind us. I'm sure you have that awareness in you.
Yeah. I know that for me, like my mother's side of the family is Native American, and before my generation and my mom's generation, they were very tied to like the earthly medicines and spirits. And I know that when I was younger, my great grandmother gifted me like a totem, and those types of things I was always curious about because I was very curious as to the journey that people went on in that belief system. And because I live here in the United States, Christianity is a very strong influence into how people view the world. And I was brought up in a very Christian household due to my dad's side of the family. And when I was in that space, I was just like not connecting with it as much as everyone else was. And when I started to kind of do the self work and connecting to self, I was like, there's a lot of really pushy sales parts to the religion here in the United States that I felt like was kind of pulling people away from spirituality and more towards the social system of religion. And I was very confused because I was judgmental, which was not connecting me to people. I was fearful because I was terrified that everything I did was going to send me to hell. Like there were so many things that the religion brought to me that disconnected me from self as well as connecting to people around me. And it wasn't until after I did a lot of self healing and self work that I was able to reconnect with my faith, but in a different way that was not with like the established religion, but with like my connection to the universe as a whole. I always tell people I don't mind what people call it. I think it has many names because we have all disconnected but reconnected in ways where the name was different, but we all find a way to reconnect to spirit or to self or to the universe or to God. I think that it's important for people to start making themselves more aware of that, as we are all human. We are all created equal here in this space. And when we start to see each other as equal entities existing, you can see why it's important for us to serve one another. We are all granted different gifts that are meant to be served to others who have gifts who will serve back to us. And in that journey, it's just like, where is all this fear coming from? Where is all this stuff that's disconnecting us? And on that journey, it's so important for each person to take that, because I think there are lots of things that, as we grow up, start to disconnect us from what we should stay very connected to.
So true, and I must compliment you. Have been always so aware. The way you have been talking about your journey, about your fears, about your goods, about your light, about your darkness, and that's all about life. Is life keep happening? We will have different moments. We will have different emotions. All that we need is just to connect with our inner self and keep reminding ourselves there is something bigger than what we are right now facing. So let's get to that. And this is all we keep wanting to remind each other, not just our own self. And
Mhm.
I really, what you said is very true. I really resonate with that, that each one of us have a role to play, a very beautiful, unique role. And so many times we underestimate that role and we just let that be. If each one of us in this planet Earth starts connecting to their higher purpose and start serving from that space, start serving from that source, that okay, yes, I too have something to contribute to this planet Earth in making this a better place. I think this will there will be no lesser time than it will be heaven on earth.
Yeah. And I love thinking about like everything, like the animals, the plants, everything is here to serve a purpose. And like, I think one of the most painful parts of my journey has been realizing when things are taken from us too soon, when war and hatred and other things remove certain things from the world that should have continued to live and take up space because their purpose was still in space. And a lot of times they kind of take it and talk about it's like a severed arm, like losing someone who's very important. It's like losing a limb. You can learn to live without it, but it's not like this limb will grow back. So it's kind of like navigating the world in a way where it's just like, yes, it will be a lesson learned, losing someone, but to give respect and know that every single being on this earth has an important role to play would create a respect for one another in a way where it's like, I have to respect each person's role here in the world because they will teach someone something that will then teach more people that will eventually come back to me and teach me something. Because maybe in today's session, I would be a teacher for someone, and tomorrow that person will be teaching me. And the roles are constantly moving. But if you are in a position where you see someone and you're like, oh, they're not better than me. Um, I'm better than them. Any mindset of that in comparison, it just shows that you're not connected to the bigger picture of how we all serve one another. We may not always see how it happens. Like something I do today may impact someone who I come in contact with years from now, but it's not our place to understand that. It's just to understand that the world is interconnected, and we're not here to create who gets to be connected and all of that. That will naturally just exist. That's in the energy realm, and we have no control over that.
And so true. And everybody, and just looking down on any role specifically or looking up on any role is also not something very right. You rightly said that we all are playing different roles. Not necessary if you are connected to spirituality and if you're doing some spiritual role that you have a bigger place to be in. There could be somebody who's as simple as just making the house with bricks and mortar and could be also doing their role. Everybody has a purpose, everybody has a role, everybody has a lesson around their incarnation in this life. So there are people who are into business, there are people who are into service, there are people who are serving as doctors, there are people who are serving as engineers. There are people like us who are like coach, healers. Everybody has a role to play. And nothing is less or nothing is more. It's just different ways of serving through your inner intention, your inner soul. It's just that with every position, whatever you are doing, you just get connected and serve from your most inner authentic self so that you're giving your best to the best in the best ways.
Yeah. And that's a journey that we all have to take, like discovering our gifts that we're here to give to the world. Like, I think that a lot of times, like for me, like my grandparents wanted me to become a doctor, a lawyer, or an architect. So becoming a life coach wasn't on their list of three that I got to choose from. But in my realm, like those three were not me. But for a while, I tried to serve that purpose because that was what was given to me by my family. They're like, we'll help you with school if you choose one of these. I chose architecture. And on that journey, I learned a lot. But what I did learn about myself was that that wasn't the right path for me. I didn't connect with it. I saw people around me that did connect with it, and I was looking at them and I was just like, why am I not feeling the way about architecture as they are? Like, they were given challenges and projects to work on, and their minds just exploded with ideas, and they were like full of positive energy of just like the excitement of getting to do it. Whereas like mine was just sitting there and I connected with people. So like I became a freshman counselor. I helped people become oriented at school for the first time alone from their families. I worked with international students who were coming to the United States for the first time. And my passion was helping them become comfortable and connected and realize that they have a lot to teach us as much as they can be taught from people here in the United States. And I was just like, that was what I loved about college. Like, I didn't connect with the architecture students, I connected with the people who needed a coach, someone who needed connection, someone who just needed space to exist and explore their own identities. Like, that's where I thrived. And when I started doing the inner work of like, what brings me to life, like where does like the energy just swell up inside of me with joy when I think about it, and it was just getting to know people and holding space. And I was like, okay, I'm not an architect, I'm in the realm of coaching and helping people. So I had to realize that within myself. But because someone imposed what I should be doing onto me, I was trying really hard, but I could see that I was not aligned with others that were in their place of power. And I was like, okay, I have to disconnect and find where my place of power is, because I don't want to live in a space where I get to see everyone else thrive because it's their place, and me sit there and try to pretend to feel the same way that they felt. Because now that I'm in my space, it's a completely different feeling. It's a feeling of I get to be here and I want everyone to feel this, what I'm feeling. So that's why, like, when we were saying everyone has a place, I think that's important for people to realize it's a journey sometimes to find that. We're not always born into a family that puts us on the right path of where we're meant to be in this world.
That's so amazing and so beautifully expressed that eventually we try to find and fix ourselves in the place where we belong. But amazing. I could relate to this not less because I have been into my family business from past 12 years, and it's a huge textile business, and it's all about clothes and Indian wear, those bridal wears. And I am not somebody who's a very, very fond of designs and clothes. I'm more simple with my clothes, but that's how it has been. And for some reasons I had to be a part of my family business, and every time I would go there and I would just try to do the best what I could for my family and be there. What I realized, what all I was doing is was just connecting with the people. More than any other role, I was just connecting with people, observing how the corporate world works, how does a leader works, how is the employee working, what are the emotions behind an employee, what are the so one day I was just sitting behind and I was just thinking, I'm coming here to do the work. Of course, on the outer side, I was doing the operational part, what I needed to do. But internally, I would just introspect and see how do people behave and what are the emotions. And I kept on. There would be days like for 15 days, 1 month, I'll do everything to my best, and suddenly I'll go, wait, this is not where I belong to. This is not where I belong. What am I doing here? I need to go back to my healing. I need to go back to my, that's where I'm a healer. I need to teach, and this is where I am. But I really made a lot of peace, and I did a lot of inner work behind that. And I realized that sometimes some things are like coming to your life as a reason. So, like you said, you had that result. So, when today I look back and I reflect my 12 years journey of corporate world, I have a lot of idea about how does corporate world works and what are its problem. How does a leader? What are the different kind of leaderships? What are the different kind? How do you build the team? How does a business run? What are the practical sides of the life? And I have a lot of grateful heart for that because of that today I am a better coach. I'm a better healer because as a coach, the more experiences you have in life, the more different areas of exposures you have in life, the more you're able to understand your client better. And you come from a space, okay, yes, I can understand because I've been there. So today, when I talk to people, there are so many of almost all of them. This like I've been there. I've been there. Inside in my heart, I have that feeling. Not that I look at the same situation with my perspective, but I know I have also gone through that journey in my life. And I find it really interesting and I take it as it comes. So now, slowly and gradually, I'm moving more back towards my healing, my coaching journey, keeping my family business on a little less hold and just trying to find the reason. Okay, there was a bigger purpose behind my being in family business.
Yeah. I definitely agree because I think that for me, I do a lot of connecting with other people just to hear their perspectives, as well as reading books from all different backgrounds, whether it's coaches that practice in my realm or in others, or biographies of people in the world that are like historical figures that people know by name. Just connecting with as many touch points as possible can only help us understand a new perspective when a client is sitting with us and explaining something. Because if we only lived our own one adventure, our one journey, we wouldn't be able to connect with very many people because it's it's an experience that's very complex but very singular to our own journey. And I think that a lot of people, I always suggested people should have to like go to a different state to go to school for like a semester, and then go to a different country in another semester, and then go like connect with different people. Because I think the best part about my life is how I've been uplifted and put in so many different places that I had to learn that my way of living was just one way of doing it, and that for me to connect with other people, it was to connect through exploring their way of doing life. And that just broadened my view of the world and connected me with more people to the point where I was like, I'm not judging anyone for having a certain perspective of the world, because each of our journeys will give us a perspective that's different than someone else's. And I think in today's world, so many people want to force their perspective onto other people instead of taking the time to understand someone's perspective and why it's that way. And then just communicating through that and connecting through our differences instead of allowing differences to like prevent us from connecting with one another.
So true, Actually, it's like a dream to see a world which is full of allowance and acceptance. What a beautiful world it would be when we just let people be what they are and let them just bloom, rather than just forcing them to be in a certain way. Even as a parent, for that matter, I see so many parents trying to, tell their children to do this or not, even after the age of 18, 19. And I just wonder, we are just losing on to letting a soul grow, a flower to bloom. Parenting is such a beautiful role, and we just misinterpret and we try to, as if we're just trying to control the life of other person, and just letting people be in a family, in a business, in your community, and and just let them see how world is coming up for them rather than showing them from your eyes. It's such a beautiful place to be.
Yeah. And I think a lot of parents control because they're fearful of something. They know that the world can be a tough place to navigate, and so they want to do whatever they can to protect their child, not realizing that they're like passing down a generational fear of this person won't be able to find it on their own. And there's so many different spaces. Like my family truly believed that the only way for me to be safe in the world is to be a doctor, a lawyer, or an architect, because that's a sure way to make money to where you can like live the life that they thought I should live. But when you take away someone's passion or ability to connect with their passion and their soul projects, like you strip them of the ability to do the hard work. Because I truly do believe that if you put in hard work in any area of your life, that something will come of it. It may not be this magnificent thing like a huge income like a doctor may get, but living a life of purpose and living in a realm where you're doing exactly what you love doing, like that fills most of your needs in life, and you will create a lifestyle that supports that journey for you. You might not own a mansion, you might live in a smaller home, but that smaller home supports the life that is connected to your passion. And I think that that's really important for people to realize as well. Like, don't assume that everyone wants the nicest cars, the being able to own a private jet. Like, that's not on everyone's to-do list. And if you allow people to live in their passion, you will start to see their lives will start to attract what is necessary to live that way.
So true. And the whole meaning of success is so misinterpreted in so many ways, because success, what means to you, might be so different from me, and vice versa for anyone else. And the whole thing about being successful is so different than having just money or big cars and all. Probably, like for me, being successful is living a very fulfilled life. Internally you're feeling fulfilled, you're feeling content with whatever best you are able to do. So of course there are many more areas in that, but that's really important. If you're not living from your passion, you're not living from your purpose. If you're living a very imposed life, or a life from the other person's point of view, you're losing on to being you, the beautiful gift to this world. And I really feel that everybody must have that allowance to be able to present and serve in this world, being them, not someone else.
Yeah. I think that that's a beautiful place to wrap up. And I want to take these last few minutes to give you space to let us know how we can help serve you as a coach and a healer, and ways that we can connect with you if that's something that people who are listening may be interested in. Because I think your journey and what you're capable of can help so many people. So I will give you the space to let people know how they can connect with you and work with you as a coach or a healer.
Thank you so much. That's so amazing. And I really am feeling very grateful to you for allowing me this space and sharing this with me. That it really means a lot to me. First of all, I would really thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Thank you.
No problem.
So yes, I'm happy to be of a place to where I could be with you, along with you in this journey of coaching and healing you. I am available on Insta. They can connect with me through Insta, and I can share my details and my calendar with them. Happy to be there, happy to be of service, happy to connect. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I know that it is probably close to 1 in the morning for you over there, in India. So I want to respect your time, but also want to say thank you for coming on here and trusting me, to have you on here on a live. I really enjoyed this conversation. I think that a lot of people will get a lot of meaningful, connections out of this conversation. And if there's ever anything that you can think of that I can do to serve you and help you on your journey, don't be afraid to reach out and ask, because we're all connected and we're here to support one another, especially as coaches. And I will talk to you soon.
Yes. Thank you so much. Really, thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate your care. Thank you.
no problem.
Thank
You have a good rest of your night.
you. Thank you. You too have a great day.
Bye.